All right, Shalom. Like start up saying, Call Halayim La Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Harikakwadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, double honors to our elder apostle as well, her one bunny on Charlotte down his lines in camp. Salutations to the archon that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Kanak San Bunny Charlotte for the Lions of the Yahshua camp, and this is another Lions Den News and Prophecy. So, here we go to the second Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. It says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written on paper, for they are faithful and true. Right. So one of these prophetic moments we need to talk about is the destruction of Babylon the Great. So you have, a lot of distractions going on in the world, like the things the things that happened at the BET Wars last night, and all things that are happening to all these celebrities and things like that. But nobody's paying attention to what's really going on, how much furniture is being moved over there in the Middle East. It's like this article right here says, it says Iran is forcing the U.S. into an escalation trap as a shadow war over the Strait of Hormuz heats up that could kill the tenuous ceasefire. Right? So, what is a shadow war? Shadow war is kind of like a proxy war. Like it's like, well, proxy wars is a part of shadow war. Um, a shadow war is a form of covert conflict where states or non-state groups use espionage, cyber attacks, proxy battles, and secret military operations to achieve strategic objectives. Right? And the primary goal is to degrade an adversary and shape the battlefield while avoiding direct and open warfare, maintaining plausible deniability. So, if you look at it, that's a weak saying that I am strong, and that's exactly what Iran did. Because America is trying to find a way to pull out of this war, but it can't just pull out, and Iran knows that. Because if it just pulls out without some sort of deal going down, which makes Iran yield to to um to the agenda of the United States, if America just pulls out, um, at that point it'll make an economic crash for America because these other countries that helped America against Iran. Hold on one second. Let me look up something real quick. What is no? Hold on. All right. So all these individuals um that help the United States against Iran, like the Gulf states, like the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, um, and other certain NATO members like Germany, Italy, and Albania, Czech Republic. All these countries would have to pay restitution um, um, to Iran for all the damage that's been done by the war. And who is the one that's pushing this whole war? It's Israel, and and the United States has to come to the aid of Israel at any given, anytime things happen or go down. Right? That's why Chuck keeps getting mad whenever there's alleged ceasefire, and then Israel will just go ahead and bomb Lebanon, or the UAE will bomb Lebanon. You see that? But the main concern is Israel, because what does the scripture say? It said, "The least of them shall draw them out." All right, and you think about it, then Revelations where it says these shall turn and hate their whore and burn them with fire. Think about it like this, because um Israel is not in the European Union. See that? Israel is not in the European Union. They're a part of NATO, I think, but they're not in the European Union. And if I'm not mistaken, those 10 that are turning and hate the whore and burn them with fire is talking about the European Union. See that? So so they're gonna get sick and tired of Israel pulling them into this war. See that? And ultimately, is what it's going to lead to is the destruction of Babylon the Great. Where it says the U.S.-Iran ceasefire was already not much of a ceasefire as missiles, drones, and bombs continue exploding around the Persian Gulf. But this week, latest exchange of fire over who controls the Strait of Hormuz threatened to snuff out the deal just weeks after it was signed. So now, and if America can't pull out, one of the major reasons why it can't pull out right now is because how Iran has total control over the Strait of Hormuz. See that? Iran has total control over the Strait of Hormuz, which is gonna, so basically that's gonna put a chokehold on the economy, on the global economy. That shows Iran having the power. See that? That's Yahweh Shemel Shai setting up, saying, "Let the weak say that I am strong." It says on Sunday, Iran launched new attacks on Kuwait and Bahrain while threatening a complete halt to peace talks. It continued to a tit-for-tat cycle of retaliation after the United States airstrike punished the regime for targeting commercial ships with drones. They told nobody don't be passing through the Strait of Hormuz. They're showing that they have total control of what goes over there in the Persian Gulf. And if you think about it, Iran is the last piece of the puzzle for the United States to kind of push that agenda, which will lead to the Revelation 13 and 16, the Mot B, the microcia, a new form of monetary exchange, a new form of currency, right? So as long as Iran is able to flex their muscles over there like they flexing them, it makes it harder for that agenda to be pushed. Pretty soon it's going to go out to all out war, and America can't really flex his muscle like that, like how Trump keeps saying, "Oh, we're going to totally annihilate Iran." Then if they do that, that's going to force Russia and China to get militarily and physically involved. Like right now, they show their economic presence and support to Iran, but they haven't shown their physical support. And if America escalates, that's why the Iran is baiting them in for the United States to show a bigger show of force, right? And that way, these other countries will have to step in, like the ones that like China and Russia that aid Iran. And America's not really set up to do that. They're trying to get themselves prepared to fight. I did a lesson on it a couple of weeks ago. What they're trying to do is get themselves prepared to fight a nuclear war on multiple fronts against China and Russia. So by taking control over the world's biggest oil reserves in Venezuela, we still don't know what happened with Maduro, right? And trying to take control of what's left for them to take control of in the Middle East, right? It's all for them to push their agenda. See that? All right. It says the renewed skirmishes come as Iran seeks to shut down an alternate route through the straits that's protected by the United States, a bypass a Tehran-backed channel meant to normalize its control over the virtual energy. Let me read that again before I was interrupted. It says over the weekend, the alternate route which hugs the Omani coast was expanded to accommodate both inbound and outbound traffic. The further That further dilutes Iran's hold over the strait, its top source of leverage. All right. So now they try to find wrap right. And America was doing this once before by creating the blockade. And allegedly that blockade was set up to escort ships through. And as they were escorting ships through, the United States was allegedly stealing barrels of oil from Iran. It was a secret shadow mission. See that? Yeah, shadow war. So so now America's trying to allegedly further um to take away control that Iran has over the Strait of Hormuz by creating this so-called detour. All right, President Donald Trump has called Iran's actions a violation of the ceasefire and threatens devastating consequences, but has also signed reluctance to go back to war and hasn't followed through on similar threats. See that? He been saying, "Oh, they keep doing this. We're gonna annihilate them." That annihilation ain't. I don't know. Maybe he forgot the definition of what annihilation is because he said he totally obliterated Iran's nuclear sites, and then and he said after that he said um they could have dug them up and rebuilt them. That's not annihilating or obliterating. Like when you do that to a structure, that means that it can't never be erected. You have to start all the way over. So he's been making these threats, and Iran's been calling their bluff. You know. So so ultimately, this is leading up to a hot physical war. It's like that's gonna end. That's gonna lead to the destruction of Babylon the Great. All right. So so this is one hurdle that the United States has to overcome to perform their enterprise or to get their agenda fully set in place. All right. It says Donald Trump has called Iran's actions a violation of the ceasefire and threatened devastating consequences, but he has also signaled reluctance to go back to war and hasn't followed through on similar threats. See that? It says Iran is choking Hormuz, forcing a brutal choice: escalate or surrender control. See that? That's Iran is trying to get America to live out those threats. See, Iran are there. The Persians are the creator of the game chess, chaturanga. America is poker. See, chess is strategy. Poker is bluffing. So Iran is calling a bluff. Like, come on, bring it. You said you're gonna do it. Do it. You see that? It says Iran is choking Hormuz, forcing a brutal choice: escalate or surrender control. University of Chicago political science professor Robert Pate posted on X. Trump wants out, but Iran is forcing the escalation trap. The conclusion course is set. Looks like it. The collision course is set, and worse is yet to come. And that's what Iran said about a month ago. And they said if they do any more direct hits on Iran, they going America's gonna have hell to pay because they said they ain't even started to get busy yet. See that? It says for now the United States Navy appears to be making of a point of showing that the alternate route is still safe, as Gulf traffic data Sunday revealed a convoy of tankers heading through the strait under escort with their transporters turned on, transponders turned on, meaning like Iran can see them going through when they have the transponders turned off. That means they go dark and it's hard to detect where the ships are going. You know, it says other ships have likely switched off their transponders to quietly slip through the waterway undetected, but the mere threat of Iranian attacks could scare away enough ships to officially shut down the strait. It says Pate explained that Iran's strategic logic is to force the strait to stay mostly closed and cut off oil flows again, requiring the U.S. to draw down its inventories. And it says that would provide Iran more leverage at it as it tries to drive the United States out of the region. That's all Iran wants. Iran doesn't want the United States to have anything to do with what goes on in the Middle East. And that's a deal that the United States is not going to, they're not going to sign off on that. It says commercial shipping companies are also caught in a trap. They they could use the alternate route and risk Iranian attack, or use the regime's route and face Western sanctions against transacting with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So, like, Iran has it set up like if you come this way and pay the toll tax, then we ain't gonna bomb you. But if you risk going the way that America, the alternate route that America has created, allegedly, then then you're gonna suffer the risk of getting attacked. You know, they're basically saying America can only protect you so much. You know, so it says since many ships have no choice but to use the alternate channel and are transiting under radar, Iran will have to keep escalating in order to completely halt flows, according to HFI research. So yeah, but they're going to continue to find ways to put a chokehold on the strait. That's a dangerous game. Either you go the way and get sanctioned by America, you're going to lose, or you go the way that you know because you're going to lose because you're going to have to pay that toll tax that Iran's charging to go through that way, and you're going to have to pay sanctions. So, with that being said, if they go the way that Iran allows them to, where America can still kind of win because the money that's going to get for those sanctions. So, so right now it's kind of like a tug of war, and it's kind of lined up in the middle because I ain't gonna even hold you. Like I don't know who Trump's advisor is, but they've been doing some pretty strategic things, but it's only gonna run out, right? And it's the Lord setting all this up, man. And America is leading them to their own demise. All right. It says for the U.S. the fact that the Oman route might be blocked presents it with a big ultimatum. Either the United States escalates or give the IRGC control of the Strait of Hormuz. Logic says there's no way that would happen, so escalation will continue. It says, given that Trump has made it obvious that he does not want to escalate, right? He don't want to escalate because they're not prepared for it. And if he escalates it to a certain point, it's going to force China and Russia to get involved. And America doesn't want that right now. It says Trump has made it obvious that he does not want to escalate. The fear that the IRGC would just keep escalating until they gain control. This issue is far from over. Right. So they're going to continue to escalate till they feel like they have total control over the Strait of Hormuz. All right. So University of Oslo professor Francesco Sassi, the name sounds sassy, pointed out that Iran's latest attack on shipping specifically targeted at a vital workaround that Gulf oil producers have employed ship to ship transfer of oil at sea bypass Hormuz. The setup is extensional test for the United States deterrence capability to protect regional allies that like Bahrain and Kuwait. He wrote on X on Sunday, adding that a to return to the pre-conflict status quo is officially dead. No, it's not. It says the war of the Strait of Hormuz has entered a highly dangerous new phase, Sassy warned. Following consecutive nights of U.S. retaliatory strikes against the IRGC targets and shadow war is rapidly expanding to outer rim of the Gulf. In fact, Iran has no intentions of going back to business until the Strait, as usual in the Straits. Right? Ain't gonna be none of that. This passing through no longer. They're whoever comes out on top of this is gonna have total control of the Strait of Hormuz, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be the United States. It says in fact, Iran has no intentions of going back to business as usual in the Strait. Noam Raidan, senior fellow of the Washington Institute think tank, wrote in a blog post on Friday. That's because returning to pre-war conditions would deprive Iran of its strongest remaining source of leverage. See that? That's how using this strait and controlling this strait and manipulating the traffic flow in this strait gives them total control, a sense of total control. It shows the power that they have. It says the question now is how is not how Iran will facilitate a return to status quo that does not serve its objectives. Radin explained, rather, policymakers must prepare for the justification Tehran will put forward to ensure that it plays a central role in the new maritime system. Meaning America does not. They don't want America no longer to have total control over what goes on in the Persian Gulf. It says, and the barriers will not put in place to implicate any alternative system. All right. So, so you have a tug of war going on over control in the straits, and you know the United States is trying to find some work. Iran is like 20 steps ahead of them, flexing their muscles, man. Let's get a scripture to close it out. This is Job chapter 20, right? Job chapter 20, verse 19. It says, because he has oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he's violently taken away an house which he builded not. Like, right, because they're trying to take control over that land over there, right? It says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desires, right? So they're trying to put together this agenda, but the Lord is putting blockades up that they're not going to be able to perform their enterprise. All right. It says in the fullness, verse 21, it says, there shall none of his meats be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his, all right, it says, verse 22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. See that? See that? Every hand of the wicked. That's why everybody's because, and it's all because of Israel, man. Like the scripture says in Jeremiah, surely the least of them shall draw them out. It's because of Israel that they keep being drugged into this war, because they could have kept going with sanctions and things like that, but it went hot when Israel bombed Iran, and America had to get involved. And now America's stuck in this war that it really wasn't trying to start at the not yet, at least not yet. Verse 23, it says, when he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast fury of his wrath upon him, and it shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Right. See that? That's when. So some people think that, when the last Trump happens and the 200 million missiles are shot at this place, that's not. It's going to be. That's not the only time that these missiles are going to hit these places. It's going to start out. Somebody going to break the barrier, and somebody's gonna break the barrier and hit America, hit the United States with some sort of missile, man. It says, verse 22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, but the bow of steel shall strike him through. See that? It is drawn, it is coming out of the belly, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, terrors are upon him. See that? So he's gonna be looking down and see that he's hit. See that he's hit. See that? Just like if somebody, like in the movies, when somebody gets stabbed with a sword from behind, they look down, all they see is the point of the sword coming through their body, and they're like, oh snap. Now they're looking at seeing blood coming out. That's exactly what's gonna happen to this place. It's gonna get struck, then America's gonna realize it's not an invincible as it made the rest of the world seem that it is. You know? So there's major prophecies going on right now, and the Lord is moving around, so he's rearranging some furniture. It might look subtle, but it's not. All right. Lord willing, this lesson to edify the service purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. With that, I'd like to say, Call Halayim, La Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Harikak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone, and double honors to our elder apostle as well, her one by Yahshua, all down here in the Lions in camp. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.